The city of Lyria had always been quiet at night. Its tall silver towers reflected the pale moonlight, and the streets were almost empty. Only the occasional hover car glided silently over the smooth roads. Most people slept peacefully, unaware of what was coming. But not everyone. In a small, dimly lit apartment high above the city, a woman named Arya stood by the window. Her eyes scanned the sky carefully. She was tall, strong, and calm. Unlike the others, she could feel the faint vibrations in the air, signals that something was wrong. Something very wrong. Arya had seen these signs before. Long ago, her mentors had taught her to notice the tiny hints of danger that most humans ignored. Tonight, those hints were everywhere. The stars flickered strangely. The usual hum of energy in the city felt different, heavier. She moved quietly to her small workbench and picked up a sleek metallic blade. It was not an ordinary sword. It was a weapon designed for more than just human enemies. Its edge shimmered faintly in the moonlight. Arya held it in her hand, feeling its familiar weight. She had trained for years for moments like this. And tonight, she would need every skill she had learned. Outside, the city slept. Children dreamed, lovers whispered, and the guards patrolled lazily, unaware. Arya's heart beat steadily, but inside, she was alert. Something was coming, and it was not small. Suddenly, a faint hum echoed through the air. It was low at first, almost imperceptible. Then it grew louder, vibrating the walls of the apartment. Arya's eyes narrowed. This was no ordinary sound. This was the signal of the Horde. Far above the clouds, dark shapes moved in silence. Ships unlike any human design glided through the atmosphere. They were sleek, black, and deadly. Each one carried soldiers trained for destruction. They were not here for peace. They were here to conquer. Arya stepped back from the window and took a deep breath. She needed to warn someone. She grabbed her communicator and sent a quick message to the city's defense network. Unknown fleet approaching. Prepare for attack, she typed and hit send. Minutes passed. She could hear nothing but the quiet hum. Then, in the distance, a flash of light streaked across the sky. It was the first sign of the Horde's approach. Panic might have overtaken most people. But Arya remained calm. Calmness, she knew, was the first weapon of a soldier. She remembered the lessons of her childhood. Fear clouds the mind. Calm clears it. She whispered these words to herself, feeling the familiar rush of determination. Her fingers tightened around the hilt of her blade. Whatever came tonight, she would meet it head-on. The city's alarm systems finally started blinking red. Sirens echoed in the streets, waking the sleeping citizens. People poured into the streets, confused and frightened. Hovercars scrambled to find safe zones. But Arya moved with purpose. She was already heading to the rooftop of her building, where she could see the full city and the incoming threat. From up high, the scene was terrifying. Thousands of alien ships hung in the night sky, their dark silhouettes blotting out the stars. Each ship seemed alive, pulsing with strange energy. The Horde was larger than anyone could have imagined. It was not just an invasion. It was a statement. The aliens wanted everyone to know that resistance was pointless. But Arya did not flinch. She had faced impossible odds before. Her mind raced, analyzing the enemy's movements, predicting their strategy. She noticed patterns in the fleet's formation. They moved with precision, but precision could be predicted. Precision could be exploited. She took a deep breath and activated a small device on her belt. A holographic map of the city appeared in front of her. Red dots marked alien landing zones, and blinking lights showed where civilians were concentrated. Arya studied it carefully. Every detail mattered. Every life mattered. Then she heard the first screams from the streets below. People were running as small scout ships touched down, and alien soldiers emerged. Their forms were tall and armored, with eyes that glowed a bright blue. Their weapons fired in quick bursts, tearing through anything in their path. Panic spread like wildfire. Arya's eyes narrowed. She would not run. She would not hide. She was ready. She had trained for this moment for her entire life. Slowly, she whispered a phrase she had only said when the stakes were highest. Class dismissed. Ow. It was more than just words. It was a signal to herself. A declaration that the Horde had entered her city, and now the real battle would begin. She drew her blade, and it gleamed in the dim light of the rooftop. The first aliens noticed her immediately. Their glowing eyes locked onto her position. They moved with lightning speed, but Arya was faster. She leaped from the rooftop, landing silently on the next building. Her movements were fluid, almost like a shadow. Every step was precise, every motion calculated. Below, chaos reigned. Civilians were running, security forces were scrambling, and alien scouts were searching. But none could reach her. Arya was everywhere at once, striking shadows, analyzing patterns, preparing for the moment when she would turn defense into offense. The sky was alive with streaks of light. Alien ships fired plasma bolts that lit up the night. Explosions shook the streets. But through all the chaos, one figure remained calm. One figure prepared for war. One figure understood that tonight humanity's future depended on her. And somewhere deep within her, Arya felt the thrill of the fight. The calm before the storm had passed. The real storm was here, and it would test everything she knew. The city of Lyria was no longer safe. The alien horde had arrived, but as long as Arya stood, the fight was far from over. Her eyes glinted in the darkness. Her blade was ready, and she waited for the horde's next move, for the battle that would decide the fate of her city. For the moment when she would strike back, the first sounds of chaos reached Arya before she even saw them. Screams echoed through the streets below, blending with the sharp crackle of alien weapon fire. Smoke curled from the rooftops, and distant explosions shook the city's foundations. The calm of the night was gone, replaced by a storm of fear and destruction. Arya crouched low on the edge of a tall building, her blade ready, eyes scanning every movement below. The aliens had landed. Their scout teams were moving fast, their armored bodies glinting under the city lights. Each step they took made the pavement shiver. Civilians ran in every direction, terrified, but Arya's focus remained unshaken. She was ready. "They're faster than I thought," she murmured, her voice calm yet firm. But speed alone won't win them the city. From above, she noticed the patterns in their movements. The scouts didn't move randomly. They searched systematically, almost like a hive mind. This meant the horde was organized, but organized could also be outsmarted. Arya's mind raced as she analyzed every angle. She spotted narrow alleyways and abandoned streets. Perfect traps for the invaders. The first scouts reached the central plaza. Their weapons glowed blue as they scanned for survivors. One of them spotted a group of terrified citizens huddled near a fountain. The alien raised its arm, preparing to fire. Arya's fingers tightened on her blade. She jumped down silently from her building, landing behind the alien in a perfect, fluid motion. With one swift strike, she incapacitated it, sending it crashing into a nearby wall. The other scouts turned instantly, their glowing eyes locking on her. Arya didn't hesitate. She moved like a shadow, ducking and weaving between attacks, her blade flashing under the city lights. Sparks flew as alien weapons met her defenses. Each move was precise, each strike deadly. Civilians scattered, watching in awe as one lone human fought with skill no one had imagined. "Class dismissed," she whispered again. This time, not just as a signal, but as a warning to the invaders. The aliens regrouped, and Arya noticed something troubling. Their numbers were far greater than the scouts alone. Larger ships hovered above the city, releasing more troops in perfect formation. This was not a random attack. This was a full-scale invasion. She needed a plan, and fast. Arya leaped onto a nearby hovercar, using it as a springboard to reach the next rooftop. From there, she could get a clearer view of the battlefield. She saw city defense drones scrambling, their weapons firing at the alien ships. The drones were fast, but they were no match for the alien technology. One by one, the drones fell, their metal bodies burning as alien energy blasts struck them down. Arya's mind worked quickly. She couldn't fight every alien alone. She needed to guide the humans, give them a chance to survive. Using her communicator, she sent rapid instructions to nearby security forces, evacuate civilians to the east zones, set traps in the alleys, focus fire on the wings of their formation. Some of the officers hesitated, fear clouding their judgment, but others listened. They followed her instructions, moving with a new sense of hope. In the chaos, Arya was the spark that could ignite resistance suddenly. A massive alien warrior emerged from one of the landing pods. Towering over the others, it was clad in black armor, with glowing runes that pulsed with energy. Its eyes fixed on Arya, recognizing her as the immediate threat. The scouts around it stiffened, forming a protective circle. Arya felt a chill, but she did not step back. This was the true enemy, the one who could change the battle. She adjusted her grip on her blade, feeling the familiar weight settle perfectly in her hands. She would not let the Horde intimidate her. Not tonight. The massive alien charged. Its movements were swift, far beyond human capability. Arya jumped from rooftop to rooftop, narrowly avoiding each strike. Sparks flew as the alien's weapons slammed into the ground, creating shockwaves that could have knocked her off balance. But she was ready, her body trained to move with precision, her mind calculating every possibility. From below, more civilians ran screaming. Fires began to spread, engulfing market stalls and vehicles. The city seemed to be collapsing, yet Arya remained focused. Every attack she deflected, every strike she made, gave the humans below a chance to survive. Then she noticed something important. The alien commander moved in predictable patterns. Each step, each strike, followed a rhythm. It was not mindless chaos. It was a dance. And every dance had a flaw. Arya grinned under her helmet. This was the opportunity she needed. She baited the alien into a narrow alley. Its size and armor were perfect for a trap. With a swift motion, she slashed a support beam above. Metal crashed down, pinning the alien's arm and foot. It roared in frustration, but its mobility was restricted. Now was her chance. She leaped onto its back, her blade aimed at the energy core that powered its armor. Sparks flew as the blade struck true, sending the alien stumbling to the ground. The smaller scouts hesitated, unsure what to do. Arya's heart pounded, but her mind remained calm. She had made a dent in the Horde, but the battle was far from over. The main force of the alien fleet still hovered above, releasing more soldiers and preparing for a full assault. She took a moment to scan the city. Fires raged, but some humans were surviving thanks to her guidance. Some had even started fighting back, using whatever weapons they could find. This was not just her battle, it was humanity's fight. A loud boom echoed from the sky as a new drop pod landed nearby. Arya's eyes narrowed. Reinforcements were arriving for the aliens faster and deadlier than before. She needed a new plan, and she needed it fast. Her communicator buzzed. A voice, trembling but determined, called out, "We're ready to follow your lead, Arya. Show us the way." Arya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. This was only the beginning. The first strike had come, but the storm was far from over. She clenched her blade tightly. "Then let's make them regret coming," she whispered, eyes glinting. And with that, she disappeared into the chaos, moving with the precision of a shadow. Ready to face whatever the alien horde would throw at her next, the city of Lyria had survived its first attack. But the real battle, the one that would decide the fate of humanity, was only just beginning. The alien horde was no longer at the edges of the city. They were inside. The streets of Lyria, once peaceful and bright, had become a battlefield. Fires burned in every direction. Smoke curled into the night sky, and the screams of civilians echoed between the tall silver towers. Chaos had arrived. Arya landed silently on the main street from a rooftop above. Her eyes scanned the scene. Alien scouts moved quickly, firing their glowing weapons at anyone who crossed their path. Hover cars were overturned, and security forces struggled to hold back the tide. But Arya did not panic. Calm and precision were her weapons, She had faced worse odds before. Stay low. Move fast, she whispered into her communicator. Use the alleys and side streets. Don't fight unless you have to. A group of frightened citizens huddled behind a fallen hovercar. One of them, a young boy, looked up at Arya with wide eyes. Are we going to die? He asked, trembling. Arya crouched beside him, her blade glinting faintly in the firelight. No, she said firmly. Not while I'm here. Follow my lead. She leaped forward, striking the nearest alien scout with a swift, precise blow. The alien collapsed silently and the others paused, momentarily surprised. Arya's movements were fluid, almost like water flowing over rocks. She moved faster than the aliens could react, striking one, then another. Keeping the pressure on, the city's defenders began to notice her. A few brave officers joined her, moving strategically through the streets. They fired at the alien scouts, creating openings for civilians to escape. For the first time, a sense of hope returned, even amidst the chaos. But the Horde was relentless. From the shadows, larger alien warriors emerged. Their armor was black and sleek, glowing with pulsing energy. Their weapons fired with deadly precision, cutting down anyone in their path. The smaller scouts retreated, letting the giants take the lead. Arya's eyes narrowed. These were the real threat, the commanders. She ducked behind a building as a volley of plasma blasts scorched the street. Sparks flew, and the concrete walls cracked under the impact. Every step she took had to be calculated. One mistake could mean death. She noticed something important. The aliens moved in formations, their attacks synchronized. This was not random. It was strategy. Arya realized she could use their own coordination against them. She sprinted across the street, dodging fire, and cut a support beam above a narrow alley. The beam collapsed as one of the larger warriors charged through, pinning it momentarily. Her chance came quickly. Using her blade, she struck at the joints of the alien armor. Exploiting the small weaknesses she had studied from her rooftop view, sparks and energy flares erupted as each strike landed. The alien roared, a terrifying sound that echoed through the city. The civilians watched in awe. As one human fought with skill no one could believe possible. Arya's movements were precise, calculated, deadly. Every strike, every dodge, every jump was a lesson in strategy and courage. Suddenly, a massive alien ship hovered low above the street. From it, dozens of drop pods fell, crashing into the roads and sidewalks. New warriors emerged, even larger than the ones Arya had already faced. Their weapons fired in unison, creating a wall of energy that cut off part of the city. Arya's heart pounded, but her mind remained calm. She had to think quickly. She leaped onto a hovercar and used it as a springboard to reach the top of a nearby tower. From there, she could survey the battlefield. The alien forces were dividing the city, pushing civilians into corners. But she saw a weak point near the eastern plaza, where the aliens had left an opening between their formations. Move east. She shouted into her communicator, "Everyone, move east. I'll cover you." The citizens and security forces followed her lead, moving through the narrow alleyways she had mapped in her mind. The aliens noticed and tried to block them, but Arya was faster. She struck down 2 alien commanders in quick succession, creating a path for the humans to escape. Amid the chaos, she saw a figure that made her pause. It was taller than any alien she had faced, with glowing blue eyes and energy pulsing from its armor. It was a commander leader among the Horde. Its presence made the surrounding aliens more aggressive, more coordinated. Arya knew this was the real challenge. She ducked behind a pillar as the commander's weapon fired a concentrated blast, cutting through the street with devastating power. Sparks flew, and the air smelled of ozone and burning metal. Arya gritted her teeth. She could not let this alien intimidate her. Not now. The smaller aliens swarmed toward her, but she moved like a shadow, dodging, striking, and using their momentum against them. She tossed a small explosive she had carried, taking out 3 at once. The commander's attention shifted, giving her a small opening. Arya sprinted forward, leaping onto the back of a hovercar and sliding down its side. She struck at the commander's armor, aiming for the joints and energy conduits she had studied from her rooftop observations. Sparks flew as her blade hit true. The alien staggered, but did not fall. It roared in anger, its energy weapon swinging dangerously. She rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike, and fired her own energy pulse from a small device on her wrist. The pulse hit the commander's back, momentarily disrupting its systems. It faltered, giving Arya just enough time to leap away. The city was still burning, still in chaos, but she had made a dent in the Horde's advance. Civilians were escaping, guided by her commands. Security forces were reorganizing, emboldened by her courage. The first wave of the alien invasion was being slowed. But Arya knew it was only the beginning. She took a moment to catch her breath on the top of a building. Below, the streets were filled with chaos, but also hope. For the first time tonight, humans were fighting back, not just running. And it was all because one human had chosen to stand and fight. Arya's eyes glinted in the firelight. She could feel the storm building. The aliens would not stop here. They were organized, deadly, and relentless. But neither was she, and she had a plan, a way to turn the tide. Class dismissed, she whispered again, this time with a smile. The battle had begun in the streets, but she would not let the Horde win. Not tonight. The clash in the streets was only the start. The Horde had come to conquer, but humanity had a fighter they did not expect, and Arya was just getting started. The city of Lyria burned under the alien assault. Fires painted the streets orange and smoke swirled into the night sky. The clash in the streets had slowed the invaders, but the Horde was far from defeated. The massive alien commander still roamed the central plaza, rallying its forces and crushing human resistance wherever it appeared. Arya crouched on a rooftop, her blade tucked at her side, eyes scanning the battlefield below. The humans were holding, but only barely. Civilians scrambled through alleys, dodging alien scouts and plasma blasts. Security forces fired back, but many were retreating, overwhelmed by sheer numbers. She needed a way to turn the tide, something that the aliens did not expect. Her mind raced. She remembered the old archives hidden beneath the city, the secret research labs abandoned decades ago. Long ago, humans had experimented with energy manipulation, creating weapons and technology far beyond what the aliens expected. Most of the world had forgotten about them. Most, but not Arya. She ran to a narrow alley and activated her communicator. "I know a way to stop them," she said to the nearby human units. "Follow my instructions exactly. Trust me. This could save the city." The humans hesitated. Fear was everywhere. But they had seen her fight. They had seen her skill. Slowly, they nodded and moved in her direction. Arya darted across rooftops, leaping over gaps and sliding down narrow stairways. Every step was precise, every movement planned. The aliens below noticed her, but she was already too fast. She reached the entrance to the old research lab, a place long forgotten, its doors rusted and locked for decades. She pressed a sequence of buttons on a small device. With a loud groan, the massive doors slid open. Inside, the lab was dark and dusty, filled with old machines and humming energy cores. But at the center, a circular platform glowed faintly. This was the human advantage, an experimental energy device designed to disrupt alien technology. Arya activated the device. Lights flickered, and energy pulsed through the room. She knew it would take careful timing to use it effectively. The device could emit a shockwave that would disable alien weapons temporarily, but it could also harm humans if misused. Precision was key. Outside, the alien horde continued to push forward. They did not notice her yet. She had a few precious minutes. She instructed the human units over the communicator. "Move to the eastern plaza. Stay behind cover. When I signal, activate the energy pulse." The humans moved carefully, guided by her orders. Some stumbled, some panicked, but Arya's calm voice kept them focused. She watched as the aliens marched forward, confident in their numbers. They had no idea what awaited them. Then one of the smaller alien scouts spotted the humans in the alley. It fired a beam, alerting nearby soldiers. Arya's eyes narrowed. Timing was critical. She activated the lab's shields, blocking the beam. Sparks flew, and the scout exploded from the energy pulse. The aliens roared, sensing a new threat. Their commander focused on the plaza, moving to intercept the humans. Arya knew she had seconds to act. She adjusted the energy device, amplifying its power. A low hum filled the lab, and the air vibrated with potential. Now, she shouted. The human units activated the device simultaneously. A massive pulse of energy shot into the streets, crackling with light. Alien weapons froze mid-fire, energy shields flickered, and soldiers stumbled as if their bodies were suddenly weighted down. Arya smiled. It worked. For the first time, the humans had the upper hand. They moved through the streets, firing at disoriented aliens, rescuing civilians, reclaiming strategic points. But the alien commander was not so easily defeated. Its glowing eyes fixed on the energy pulse's origin. It surged forward, more powerful and focused than before. Arya realized it had sensed the hidden advantage, and now it would retaliate with force unmatched. She grabbed her blade and raced back into the city. The streets were still dangerous. Smaller aliens were regaining composure. The commander was cutting a path through the chaos. Seeking her specifically, Arya leapt from a rooftop, landing behind the alien commander. She struck its armor at precise points, weakening the joints and disrupting its rhythm. Sparks flew and the alien stumbled, but it roared louder than ever, striking the ground with energy blasts that shook the nearby buildings. The humans below were fighting with renewed courage. Inspired by Arya's presence and the disruption caused by the energy device, they were no longer running blindly. They were moving with purpose, reclaiming territory and pushing the invaders back. Arya noticed a small group of civilians trapped near a burning market. She moved quickly, using the shadows and chaos to reach them. With swift, precise strikes, she cut a path through alien soldiers and guided the civilians to safety. Their eyes were wide with fear, but also hope. Hope that someone, one human, could fight back against impossible odds. The alien commander recovered and roared again, shaking the ground with its massive form. Arya knew she couldn't defeat it alone, not yet. But she had done enough. She had shifted the balance, created a hidden advantage that gave humans a fighting chance. She moved to higher ground and surveyed the battlefield. Fire still burned, aliens still advanced, but the humans were no longer helpless. The Horde had underestimated humanity's ingenuity and resilience. They had expected fear and submission. Instead, they found strategy, courage, a hidden weapon they could not comprehend. Arya's eyes glinted in the firelight. The battle was far from over, but she had given the humans hope. And hope, she knew, was as powerful as any weapon. Prepare for the next wave. She whispered to herself, tightening her grip on her blade. They think this is the end, but it's only the beginning. The alien horde had been shaken, but it would return stronger. Arya smiled faintly. She was ready. Humanity had a hidden advantage now, and she was determined to make every second count. The storm was far from over, but the scales were slowly tipping. And in the heart of Lyria, one woman stood as the symbol of defiance against an unstoppable force. The streets of Lyria were no longer filled with only chaos. There was a strange tension in the air. The humans were fighting back, using the advantage Arya had discovered. Fires burned less wildly, and pockets of resistance were forming. Yet something felt wrong. A shadow moved through the battle, unseen by most, but not unnoticed by Arya. She had been trained to sense threats not just from enemies outside, but from within. She crouched behind a partially destroyed hovercar, scanning the area. Her instincts screamed that not all humans were on their side. A young officer approached her. "Arya, we found something strange," he said, voice trembling. He held a small tablet showing communication signals between unknown sources. The messages were clear, coordinates and tactical advice being sent to the alien horde. Arya's eyes narrowed. "A traitor," she whispered. "Someone within the city is helping them." The thought sent a chill down her spine. The aliens were dangerous, Yes, but betrayal from inside could undo everything. She quickly calculated the possible suspects, the officers, the civilians she had guided, anyone with access to communication devices. She needed proof. A sudden explosion rocked the nearby plaza. Alien scouts had broken through a defensive barricade. Arya sprang into action, moving through the chaos with her blade drawn. Every strike was precise, every dodge calculated. Yet in her peripheral vision, she noticed something disturbing. One of the security officers seemed to intentionally misdirect civilians toward the advancing aliens. Her heart pounded. The betrayal was real. Someone had been feeding the Horde information, guiding them, making their attacks more deadly. The officer she had trusted most was the culprit. "Stop!" she shouted, rushing forward. The officer froze for a moment, eyes wide with guilt and fear. But it was too late to explain. Arya struck the weapon from his hand, and he fell to the ground, trembling. "You," he stammered. "I had no choice." They promised. They promised what?" Arya snapped, glaring. "The death of your own people?" The officer's voice shook. They promised power, protection. I thought I could control it." Arya shook her head. "You've endangered everyone. Humanity is not yours to bargain away." She pressed a restraining device to his arm, locking him in place. The betrayal was contained, for now, but the shock of it sent ripples through her mind. The alien commander had noticed the brief hesitation in the human's defense. It roared, its glowing eyes scanning for Arya. It had sensed the disruption. The betrayal, it knew something had changed. Arya leapt back into the fray, knowing there was no time to dwell on the human traitor. The commander advanced, cutting a swath through barricades, sending soldiers flying. She had to keep moving, keep fighting, and keep her focus on the larger threat. She noticed a group of civilians trapped near a collapsed building. Time was short. The commander's forces were closing in. With precise movements, Arya cleared a path, striking down alien scouts and using the debris as cover. She led the civilians to safety, then paused to catch her breath. The northern bridge burned under alien fire. Sparks flew as energy blasts tore through the metal supports. The alien horde was stronger than ever, pushing humans to the edge. Civilians and defenders alike fled, but Arya stood tall amidst the chaos, her blade gleaming in the firelight. The alien commander had arrived. Towering and armored, with glowing blue eyes, it moved like a predator, cutting through barricades and soldiers with terrifying precision. Its presence changed the battlefield. The air itself seemed heavy. Charged with its energy, Arya crouched behind a crumbling wall, assessing the battlefield. The humans had fought bravely, but the alien numbers were overwhelming. Drones and troops streamed across the bridge, ready to crush anything in their path. She knew that if this bridge fell, the city could be split, leaving the population vulnerable. She activated her communicator. "Hold your ground," she shouted. "We fight here, or humanity loses this city." The defenders hesitated, fear in their eyes, but seeing Arya's unwavering stance, they found courage. Slowly, they formed a line, weapons ready. Bracing for the ultimate confrontation, Arya leaped onto the bridge, moving like a shadow. Her blade flashed, cutting down the first wave of alien soldiers. Sparks erupted as alien weapons collided with her strikes. Every movement was precise, every step calculated. Civilians watched from a distance, hope and fear battling within them. The alien commander roared, sending shockwaves down the bridge. Its energy weapon fired in sweeping arcs, forcing Arya to roll and dodge with perfect timing. Sparks lit up the night as she retaliated, striking at the gaps in its armor. She had studied its patterns, anticipating every move. Nearby, smaller alien squads regrouped, trying to flank the humans. Arya's eyes darted around. She needed a strategy that could change the battle in their favor. Her mind raced. The energy device she had activated earlier could be used again, but this time, it had to be combined with precise strikes on the commander. If she could disrupt its armor while the pulse activated, the aliens would be vulnerable. She signaled the human units. "Cover me." I'll take the commander down." A tense silence fell. Everyone knew the risk, but they obeyed, opening fire on smaller squads, keeping them occupied. The commander noticed the diversion and turned toward Arya. Roaring in fury, she ran forward, dodging energy blasts and leaping over debris. Her blade struck at the commander's joints, creating sparks with each hit. The alien staggered but did not fall. Its weapons swung violently, tearing through the bridge. Arya rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding destruction. Then she activated the energy device. A massive pulse shot out, surging across the bridge. Alien shields flickered, weapons froze, and soldiers stumbled. The commander faltered, its systems temporarily disrupted. Now was her chance. Arya leapt onto the commander, driving her blade deep into the weakest point she had identified. Sparks and energy flared as the alien roared, thrashing violently, but her grip was unyielding. The smaller alien soldiers hesitated, unsure how to respond. Arya struck again and again, precise and relentless. Finally, the commander stumbled, then collapsed onto the bridge with a deafening crash. Its armor shattered, energy flickering out. The alien horde paused, shocked by the fall of their leader. Humans cheered, but the battle was not over. The remaining alien squads hesitated, regrouping for another wave. Arya knew this was their moment. She signaled for the energy device to pulse again, sending a final shock through the ranks of the aliens. The remaining soldiers stumbled and fell. Civilians and defenders moved forward, reclaiming the bridge. The horde had been broken, their attack finally halted. Arya stood on the bridge, breathing heavily. The city was scarred, buildings burned, fires still smoldered, but humanity had survived. The humans had fought bravely, guided by her strategy and courage. She looked across the bridge at the fallen commander and the remaining alien troops, retreating into the night. Her communicator buzzed. Reports of scattered reinforcements had come in, but they were disorganized and confused. The main threat had been neutralized. For the first time tonight, she allowed herself a moment of relief, but Arya knew better than to celebrate too soon. The alien horde had been strong, intelligent, and relentless. This victory was hard won, but it was only the beginning. Somewhere in the universe, the commanders who had sent this horde would take notice. They would learn from this defeat, and they would return. She turned to the human defenders. "We've won today," she said firmly, "but we cannot rest. Humanity has survived this attack, yes, but the next wave could be stronger. Prepare yourselves. Train. Learn. Fight smarter. And remember," her eyes gleamed, "we are not weak. We are not afraid. We are human." The defenders nodded, inspired by her words. Fear had been replaced with determination. Chaos had been replaced with courage. Arya looked over the city, scarred but standing. Lyria had survived. Humans had survived, and one human, standing tall amidst fire and destruction, had proven that courage, intelligence, and determination could match even the most powerful alien threat. As dawn began to break over the horizon, painting the city in orange and pink, Arya sheathed her blade. She had fought well, but the battle had changed her. Every strike, every decision, every life saved reminded her that humanity was stronger than anyone could imagine, and as she looked toward the horizon, a faint glimmer of light far beyond the city caught her eye. A signal, a warning, a promise of challenges yet to come. Arya smiled faintly. Humanity had won this battle, but the war was far from over, and she would be ready. The sun rose slowly over the city of Lyria, painting the burned streets and shattered buildings in shades of gold and crimson. The fires that had once raged through the streets had dimmed to smoldering ashes, and the smoke that had choked the night air began to clear. Silence fell over the city, a fragile peace after the storm. Arya walked through the streets, her blade sheathed at her side. The battle had ended, but the cost was clear. Buildings were destroyed, vehicles lay in twisted heaps, and the marks of alien weapons scarred every corner. Civilians and defenders moved carefully, checking on each other, tending to the injured, and salvaging what they could, even in victory. The city bore the weight of what had happened. Arya paused atop a small hill overlooking the plaza. The alien commander lay defeated, its armor smoldering in the morning light. Smaller alien forces had retreated, scattered, and disorganized. Humanity had survived not through sheer strength, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Her communicator buzzed. Officers reported that the city's defenses were being restored and that civilians were being evacuated to safe zones. Arya nodded. Every life saved was a victory. Every human standing today was proof that they could fight against impossible odds. Yet her mind was not at ease. The alien horde had been strong, relentless, and strategic. Their retreat was not surrender, it was a pause. Somewhere far beyond the stars, commanders would have observed the battle, noted the human strength, and would plan their return. Arya knew this was only the beginning. She descended into the plaza, where humans were working together to rebuild barricades and clear debris. Children peered from behind walls, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. Soldiers cleaned their weapons, sharing nods of respect with one another. The human spirit had endured the test of fire. It was stronger for it. Arya approached the restrained officer, the traitor, who had attempted to aid the aliens. He sat quietly, head bowed, remorse written on his face. "You understand now, don't you?" she asked quietly. "Humanity is not yours to betray." He nodded slowly, voice shaking. "Yes, I see it now. I was wrong." "Then help rebuild," she said firmly. "And remember this lesson? Fear and greed are tools the enemy uses, but courage and unity are stronger." The officer looked up at her, understanding the weight of her words. Even in victory, the cost of betrayal had been a harsh reminder. Vigilance was as important as strength. Arya's eyes scanned the horizon. Smoke from distant fires still rose into the sky. Far above, alien ships had disappeared into the clouds, retreating, but undoubtedly planning their next move. She felt a familiar thrill in her chest, a mixture of caution and determination. Humanity had won this battle, but the war was far from over. She turned to the humans around her. "Today we survived because we worked together, because we fought, and because we refused to yield," she said, her voice steady and commanding. "We are stronger than they imagined. And if they return, we will be ready." Her words inspired the humans around her. Soldiers stood taller, civilians held their heads high, and even children who had witnessed the battle felt hope for the first time. Arya smiled faintly, knowing that the spark of courage had been lit in the hearts of many, as she prepared to move toward the city's command center to assist with rebuilding defenses. A soft hum echoed through the air. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but Arya noticed immediately. Her instincts told her it was not natural. It was a signal, distant and coded. She knelt and activated her device, scanning the frequency. The signal originated far beyond Lyria, beyond the atmosphere, possibly even outside the solar system. It was a warning, a message from the alien commanders. They had observed the battle. They had learned. Arya's expression hardened. The message was clear. The Horde would return, stronger, smarter, and next time, it would come with even greater force. But she did not falter. She had learned from this battle. Humanity had survived impossible odds and had even turned the tide through courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. If the aliens returned, humanity would be ready. She activated her communicator again, sending a message to all remaining defenders. "Prepare, train, learn. The universe is watching. Humanity has survived tonight, but we must be ready for tomorrow." Her blade glinted in the morning light, a symbol not of war but of hope. Arya understood that survival was not just about strength. It was about strategy, unity, and courage. And humanity had all three in abundance. As she looked toward the horizon, a soft smile crossed her face. The city of Lyria had been scarred, but it was still standing. Humans had faced the impossible and emerged alive. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the alien commanders would know one undeniable truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Arya sheathed her blade and began walking through the streets. guiding the survivors, helping rebuild, and preparing for the battles yet to come. The city had survived. Humanity had survived. And one human woman had shown the universe that courage and determination could defy even the strongest enemies. The storm had passed, for now. But the horizon promised new challenges, and Arya would face them, sword in hand, ready to prove once again that humanity was a force the universe could never ignore.